Okay, today's assignment, I'm not going to lie, it's stuff you've already done, but it's a little tough because it's all mixed together. Okay, it's not a cookie cutter assignment. Cookie cutters are where every problem's pretty much the same process. Okay, you have 4 to do on your own, only 4, but you don't just do the same thing throughout. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do. These 6 problems, okay, I'm going to pretend like that's the assignment for me. Okay. I am going to use this sheet. I'm going to go through each problem and decide if I have a base or if I don't have a base. Okay? So, base means, is there a letter all by itself? Well, yeah, there is here with Y. So, this is my base. Okay? I have a Y by itself. This is my base. I have no base here. There's no base. There's no letter by itself. There's no letter by itself. There's no base equation. I have a letter by itself. Okay, the next problem. That's your base. I have no base here. Okay, now the smartest thing you could do is pause the video right here. Just pause it. Don't shut I want you solving them, okay? But pause the video and then go through 1, 2, 3, and 4 and label base or no base. If there is a base, put which equation it's on. Pause it, then unpause it and watch the rest of it. Okay, now I'm back, 2-minute mark. Okay, now I need to solve these, okay? Now, I made a cheat sheet for you. Yes, I have a base, no base, okay? So, yes, I have a base here. So I circle the variable that's by itself and circle the other side of the equation. So I'm going to circle the y and then 10x plus negative 8. Write the other equation in the square beside it. So negative 5x plus 3y equals 51. Okay, then put a parentheses around the variable that is circled all by itself. So the circled variable all by itself is y. So y gets the parentheses. Now if that would have been an x, I would put parentheses around the x, but it was y. Replace the parenthesized variable with the expression that is its equal. So I keep the negative 5, I keep the x, I keep the plus, I keep the 3, but this parentheses I'm going to leave empty. I keep the equals, I keep 51. Now widen that parentheses because you have 2 things you got to put inside there. And you replace y with what it was equal to, which is 10x plus negative 8. Okay, now that's done. Draw rainbows and solve for the first letter. Remember the adding pyramids after the rainbows are done. So rainbow, rainbow. So 3 times 10 is 30 with x. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Now cross that off. And then before equals, I have to add negative 5x and then equals 51. Now adding pyramids right there, so add 30 plus negative 5, okay, it's 25, I'll show you how. Yep. So 25x, cross out the x's, and you got to add the negative 24 before equals. Okay, then I dot 25x, and I plus 24. Plus 24, that's 75. So 25.x equals 75. And then I divide both sides by 25. If I divide 75 by 25, that's 3. So that's x, okay? That's the letter I have my finger on before I divided. So x is 3. All right, now put your first answer into the base equation. Got to be this one, okay? and simply plug the expression on the calculator, and now you have your second answer. So 3 is going where x is at. And since I have y by itself, I can just plug this into the calculator. So 10 parentheses 3 plus negative 8, 22. See, I don't really have to show any work on the when I have a base, okay? All right, next one, I have a base on that one too, so I'm doing the same process. Circle the variable that is by itself and circle the other side of the equation, okay? So there's the base, circle it. Write the other. Okay, now put a parentheses around the variable that's circled all by itself. So y is circled all by itself, so I parenthesize the y. Now, again, if that was an x, I would be putting the parentheses there. Okay. Replace the parenthesized variable, which is y, with the expression that is its equal. So I keep the 1, keep the x, keep the plus, keep the 4. Now make a parentheses, keep the parentheses, but don't keep the y inside. Keep the equals, keep the 17. Okay, so I need to widen that so I can fit two things inside, because the y is kind of equal to two things, 1x plus negative 2. Okay, now I solve for x, draw the rainbows, and solve for the first letter, which is x. Remember the adding pyramids after the rainbows. So 1, 2. 4 times 1 is 4 with x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 without x. Okay, and then I plus 1x, and then I equal it out to 17. Okay, then it's time for the adding pyramids because they end up on the same side. So add 4 plus 1 is 5 with x, and then I add negative 8 equals 17. Okay, so I dot my 5 and circle it. So I got a plus 8, plus 8. 17 plus 8 is 25. So 5 dot x equals 25. And then I will be dividing by 5. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. But what letter is that right there? It's x. So x is 5. Okay. Now, put your first answer into the base equation, not the other one, the base. That's the easiest one to use because the y is by itself, okay? I can just parenthesize the x, stick a 5 where that was at, and y is all by itself. When y is by itself, he's like screaming out, solve me, okay? So 1 parentheses 5 plus negative 2. I got 3. Okay, 2 in the books. That is how you solve when there's a base, okay? Sometimes that's an x, so I'd put the parentheses around that one and leave that one in the equation. Okay, now let's do our no bases. No base is a lot different, okay? That is the one where you circle the x's, you circle the y's, and you circle the numbers, okay? Now, and then we want to write the first equation in the box below. So 3x plus negative 1y equals 30, because that's used to get the second answer. Now, are you able to label anything the same? Do you have the same number, negatives don't really count, in front of x or y? Now, if I do, I'm going to write same, and I'm not going to have to do anything here. But if I don't have the same, I'm going to have to do the dot, 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 dot. Okay, 3 and 3 are the same, dude. Okay. Now, since I have something that's the same here, I don't mess around over here. I'm going to X that box out. Not going to do anything there. Now, do you have make a tiny box to the side, make sure you have a positive and a negative of what is the same. If you don't, you need to switch all signs in the bottom row. Okay, so there's my tiny box. Here's the same. I have 3x and 3x. This is positive, this is negative. Okay, that's good. Okay, I don't need to switch. don't switch it if one's positive, one's negative. Okay? Now, add your equations together and you should get your first answer very easily. So I'm going to write plus, 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 because I'm pretty confident one of these is going to be 0. So 3 plus negative 3 is 0. Out. Negative 1 plus 7 is 6, so 6y equals 30 plus 6 is 36, okay? Then I dot it and just divide. First answer is that easy, okay? So 36 divided by 6 is 6, and that's y that is equal to 6. Okay. Now you got to find x. Now to find x, you plug this answer in for the letter in the equation you wrote. That's this one for the very first equation. Okay, you got to show a little bit of work. You ain't going to be able to just do it fully on the calculator with no base. Okay. And then you'll get your other answers. So we're going to put that 6 in for y. And the x ain't by itself, so I can't just rely totally on the calculator. So negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Then I add 3x before I equal 30. So I dot my x, circle it. So negative 6. So plus 6 plus 6. So 3 dot x equals 36. And then I divide by 3. 36 divided by 3 equals 12. Okay, so x is 12, well, y is 6. Okay. All right, there's no base on this one. So if there's no base, we need to circle the x's together, circle the y's together, negative 3, negative 2. Sorry, it's not lined up very well. Then circle the numbers, 8, negative 11. Okay, sorry, just kind of slant your circle. Okay, and then write down that first equation. So 4x plus negative 3y equals 8. That's how it's done. I'm even good letting you use, we don't have a test this week, but I'm good letting you use this, but you got to know how to read it. Okay, do you have the same number? Negatives don't count in front of x or y. Now, if you do, we're going to scribble that out, but if you don't, we got to do the dot, 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 dot. Those aren't the same. 4 and 5 aren't. 3 and 2 aren't, so no same. So we're going to have to use this square. So I dot, 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 dot. Now what am I going to dot? So I have a 5 here. Dot means times. Whatever I have in front on the bottom goes up here. Whatever I have in front on top goes down here. Okay, so I take 4 times 5. That's 20 with x. Do that over here. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15 with y. And then 8 times 5 is 40, okay? 5 times 4 is 20 with x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8 with y. And negative 11 times 4 is negative 44. Now, we still got to get the same, okay? I think I've accomplished that because right here's the same, okay? Finally, I'm able to write same. That's why you have to do the dot, dot, dot if you can over here. Okay, make a tiny box off the side and make sure you have a positive and a negative of what is the same. If you don't, you need to switch all the signs in the bottom row. Okay, so right here I have 20x and 20x, but unfortunately they're both positive. That can't happen. You're not good then. You have to switch. Okay, so that 20 becomes negative. That negative 8 becomes positive, and that negative 44 becomes positive. I know that seems like a little trivial step, but it makes all the difference. Now, add your equations together, and you should get your first answer quite easily. So plus, plus, and plus. Okay, so I add 20 plus negative 20. That's 0. negative 15 plus positive 8 is negative 7 with y. That's dotting the y. Okay, and I take positive 40, and the 44 is positive now, so add those, you get 84. Okay. All right, now you just divide by negative 7. And 84 divided by negative 7 is negative 12. Okay. And that was y. Before I divided, I had y, so I want to put negative 12 for y. Okay. And then the last step, plug in this answer, negative 12, for the letter in the equation you wrote from step 1 to solve for the other letter. Okay, so negative 12 is going in for y. So I times. Negative 12 times negative 3 is 36, plus 4x equals 8. So I dot the 4x, so I do the opposite of minus 36. If it doesn't have a sign, you're going to minus it to get rid of it. 8 minus 36 is negative 28, so 4 dot x equals negative 28. Then I divide by 4. Okay, negative 28 divided by 4 is negative 7. Okay, last two I'm going to go over. Okay, that had a base, okay? So I want to solve like I have a base. Circle the variable that is by itself and circle the other side of the equation. So there's the variable, there's the other side. Write the other equation in the square beside it. So negative 5x plus negative 1y equals negative 3. Okay, put a parentheses around the variable that's circled all by itself, but this time it's x, so x gets the parentheses. Okay, so negative 5. I need to keep the parentheses, but not with the same thing inside it. I keep the plus, I keep the negative 1y, I keep the equals, and I keep negative 3. Now we need to widen the parentheses because you got two things to fit inside that. And you'll be putting 4y plus 9 in there. Okay. Now do your rainbows, and after the rainbows, remember the adding pyramids. So that's negative 20 with y. Negative 5 times 9 is negative 45. Cross that out. And then before equals, you have to add negative 1y equals negative 3. Okay, now there's two y's on the same side, so we are going to draw our adding pyramid. By the way, you shouldn't have a y and an x when you do this across the equation. If you do that, you replace something wrong. Okay. So I add negative 20 plus negative 1, and that's negative 21y. Before equals, I've got to add negative 45. And then equals negative 3. So I dot that and circle it. So negative, I add 45, I add 45. So negative 21 dot y, and I take negative 3 plus 45, and that's 42. Then I divide 42 by negative 21. Negative 2. Now when I divided, I had y, so I want to put negative 2 for the y. Okay, now remember, the reason you have a base equation is so you can insert the negative 2 in for the y, okay? And the x is by itself, so I don't need to worry about that. I need to just plug that into the calculator. So 4 times negative 2 plus 9. If you have a base equation, the first answer gets plugged in there, not in there. Okay, you'll end up with more problems than you need to. Okay, and this one's a no baser. So if there's no base, get them circles drawn. And write down the top one. Okay, now, can you label anything the same? No, that's not the same. 4 and 3 ain't the same, and 2 and 1 aren't the same. Okay? So, since you have no same, so you better do your dot, 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 dot. Okay? And by the way, if you do have the same, you can scribble that box off. You don't need to use it, but we do here. So I have a negative 3 here. You can times either by negative 3 or 3. It doesn't matter as long as it's by some type of 3. Then 4, 4, 4, 4. I kind of like to write what I see, so that's me. Okay, so 4 times negative 3 is negative 12x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6 with y. And negative 3 times, you see, I can't, if I'm going to use my calculator, I got to get the negatives in. So negative 6 times negative 3 is 18. Okay, and then the bottom, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12 with x. 1 times 4 is 4 with y. And negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Now, circle again and see if you have the same. I think you do. 12 and 12 are the same thing. Okay, same. Okay, so that step's done. Step 2, if you don't have the same at the beginning, you got to do the dot, 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 dot. Now make a tiny box off the side and make sure you have a positive and a negative of what's the same. If you don't, you need to switch all the signs in the bottom row. Okay. Okay, so negative 12x, negative 12x. Okay, they're both negative. That isn't going to work. You need to switch. Again, you're only good if you have a positive and a negative of the same thing. So that negative 12 goes positive, the positive 4 goes negative, and the negative 12 goes positive. And now I'm ready to plus, add the equations together, and you should get your first answer easily. Okay, negative 12 plus 12, 0. See, if they would have both been negative, here's a problem. If I would have left them both negative, now you have a problem because you didn't get 0. Okay, so that's why you do that. Okay, I take 6 plus negative 4, and that's going to be 2. So 2y, 2 dot y. Then I take 18 plus 12. That's 30. Okay, I got the dot, so I divide by 2. And 30 divided by 2 is 15. Okay, by the way, I forgot the x and the y here. Sorry about that. Now, that was y before I divided, so y is 15. And then plug that 15 in. You didn't have a base, so you're going to have to do a little bit more work than just going to your calculator. I mean, you use your calculator, but it's not just a straight shot. You need to parenthesize the y and put 15. So negative 2 times 15 is negative 30. Plus my 4x equals negative 6. Dot my 4, and then I plus 30. Plus 30. So negative 6 plus 30. 24. Okay, so 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, got your 4 problems due. I believe 2 of them have bases, 2 of them do not. And one of the problems that doesn't have a base, you have the same right away. You just need to make sure one's negative, one's positive. If not, you switch the signs.